In this video, we'll look at paper 2, question 2, the summary question, and how to plan and write your response. So for this one, you've got 8 marks, it's 10 minutes, and you write up your response in point, evidence, explain, compare. The key is to focus on the specific words in the question. The end of the question, is it similarities or differences, and about what? Once you've identified the appropriate words in the question, you can identify the appropriate information in the texts. And the best thing to do is to find those key quotes so that you can then make the inferences and suggestions about what the quote is suggesting to you. The thing that's key to remember about question 2 is that it's subject only. It's always based on the subject of the sources, whereas question 4 is based on how the writer feels about the subject. So making sure that you make that clear difference between the two. Question 2 is about the subject. Question 4 is how the writer feels about the subject. So it's always about source A and B. If you do not compare, your mark will be held back to a maximum of 3 out of 8 for it. Both sources will have in the middle section there, an indicator of what the subject is about. So in this case, the similar ways in which drivers behave, and it's always the end of the question that we are looking for to make our summary about. So you're looking for similar behaviors of the drivers. So anything in source A and source B which sums up the similar behavior of the drivers must be correct. So once you've broken down the question, you can find the quotes, and then you can infer the meaning of the behavior of the drivers behind the quote. Things to avoid: writing about only one text. As I said, your mark will be held back if you do not compare, so please do make sure that you do compare. Always focus on the question. It's a cliche, but it's a cliche because it's true, so make sure that you read the questions very carefully, please. Make sure that when you're summarizing the subject-only detail of the questions, you are interpreting what they mean to you, giving your opinions on them, and developing the quotes, not just repeating the quotes without any meaning. Don't deal with each text separately, because therefore you are not synthesizing, which means comparing. So don't just do 3 quotes, for instance, from source A and then 3 from B. Do 1 from A, 1 from B, 1 from A, 1 from B, and zigzag your response, because then your comparisons are much more tightly knit, much more closer aligned, and likely to be much better for it. One possible framework is to follow the structures on the structure on the screen there. So, for instance, one similarity or one difference in source A, give your quote. This suggests that. You can put this infers that. You can put I think that. It's all about your opinion of what the quote is doing in the text. And then, of course, you can link it to your source B. So, however, also in contrast, in source B, and then it's point, evidence, explain. So once you made your point from B, you follow it up with evidence quotations and your inference explanation, and hopefully analysis in your final explain point there. So this is point, evidence, explain twice, once for source A and once in source B in comparison. Another possible framework is therefore to select 2 quotations, make a statement. What do those quotations suggest? And then explain them, interpret them, and then do source B. You could look at quotations, compare them, linking back to source A with your explanation or interpretation of those quotes. But don't forget, level 4 is about perception, and a part of perception is the bigger picture, the overall. So what is the overall piece about, and how do the subjects fit into the overall? Okay, you may possibly use that as an introduction, conclusion to your piece. There's no potential need to set it out as an essay, but if it helps you make your comparisons for similarities or differences, then think about it that way, as a big picture. So this is a framework that was taken from June 2019 from an AQA source, where we've got source A, point, and a statement linked to the focus of the question, and then of course your evidence, your quote, your inference, your explanation, and then link it. So also in the same way, however, in contrast to your similarities or differences, these are your linking words which allow you to then explore source B, which with, again, your point, evidence, explain. And if we look at a level 3 response for the summary question from a sample mark scheme, if we look at the similar behavior of the drivers, the question we had earlier on, one driver in source A decided to overtake my bike very closely at speed, which shows he behaved in a reckless way, risking the other person's safety. In source B, the drivers behave in a very similar and inconsiderate way towards cyclists, as they love to share your handlebars and wheels, passing so close, showing they are not behaving very respectfully or carefully to drive so close to the cyclist. Both drivers behave in inconsiderate ways, as in source A, the driver's dangerous behaviour is to make sure that they get ahead of the cyclist in congested traffic, and the drivers in source B take pleasure in chasing the lady on purpose. We have clear comparisons, clear similarities, a good, clear, relevant use of quotes, and then in purple there we have the student's opinion or inference of what the quote suggests about the behaviour of the drivers. So if we go back to our main focus of the question, paper 2, question 2 summary, 8 marks, 10 minutes, point, evidence, explain. Read the question carefully, find the quotations so that you can answer it and explain it thoroughly in point, evidence, explain.